When fans celebrate their favorite team's victory in the stands, another game is often being played behind the scenes. It is a game without a ball, a battle for power and national interests. People often say that politics should stay out of sports. Yet the history of the last 100 years tells a different story. Sports and politics have rarely been separate. The 1934 FIFA World Cup stands as one of the clearest examples. Italy's fascist dictator Benito Mussolini transformed the tournament into a massive propaganda campaign for fascism. He instructed the Italian Football Federation to win the World Cup at any cost. Mussolini did not simply build a strong team, he allegedly ensured every possible advantage, from controversial refereeing decisions to influencing opponents. During Italy's match against Spain, several Spanish players were injured due to Italy's aggressive style of play. The officiating also became the subject of intense controversy. Just 2 years later, Adolf Hitler used the 1936 Berlin Olympics for a similar purpose. As Chancellor of Nazi Germany, he saw the Games as an opportunity to showcase the supposed superiority of the Aryan race. The stadiums were filled with swastikas and Nazi propaganda. To avoid an international boycott, anti-Jewish signs were temporarily removed. However, Hitler's vision of racial superiority collapsed on the athletics track. It was shattered by Jesse Owens, an African-American athlete from the United States, who won 4 gold medals and proved that greatness belongs to no single race. After World War II, sports became one of the major battlegrounds of the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union viewed Olympic medal tables as ideological scoreboards, using international sporting success to demonstrate the superiority of their political systems. At times, sports even became a catalyst for war. The 1969 conflict between Honduras and El Salvador became known as the Football War. Long before the conflict, tensions over land disputes and immigration had already pushed relations to the breaking point. Around 300,000 Salvadoran immigrants were being expelled from Honduras. Amid this volatile situation, the two countries met in the qualifiers for the 1970 FIFA World Cup. Honduras won the first leg, while El Salvador responded with a 3-0 victory at home. The Honduran players reportedly faced intimidation before the match. Riots erupted after the games, and only days later El Salvador launched airstrikes against Honduras. A full-scale conflict lasting roughly 100 hours followed. Around 2,000 people lost their lives, and nearly 300,000 were displaced. Football itself did not cause the war. It merely became the spark that ignited long-standing political and social tensions. The wounds of the Falklands War were still fresh in Argentina when they faced England in the quarterfinals of the 1986 FIFA World Cup. Diego Maradona scored the infamous "Hand of God" goal, followed just 4 minutes later by what many consider the greatest goal in football history. Maradona later admitted that the match meant far more than football. For many Argentines, it symbolized revenge for those who had died in the Falklands conflict. A similar political message appeared during the 2018 FIFA World Cup when Switzerland's Kosovo-born players Granit Xhaka and Xherdan Shaqiri celebrated their goals against Serbia by making the double-headed eagle gesture, a symbol associated with Albanian identity. Serbia viewed the celebration as a political statement, and FIFA later fined both players. Politics has not always appeared through symbols alone. Sometimes it has turned into bloodshed. At the 1972 Munich Olympics, members of the Palestinian militant group Black September entered the Olympic Village, taking 11 Israeli athletes hostage before eventually killing them. Their primary objective was to draw global attention to the demand for the release of Palestinian prisoners. The tragedy permanently changed Olympic security procedures around the world. The form of protest, however, has continued to evolve. During the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar, Iran's national team took to the field but chose not to sing their national anthem, expressing solidarity with the women's rights protests taking place in Iran. Sports have also served as a bridge for peace. One of the finest examples came during the 1998 FIFA World Cup, when the United States faced Iran. Since the 1979 Iranian Revolution, the two countries had lacked diplomatic relations. Before kickoff, the Iranian players presented white roses to their American counterparts. The teams posed together for a photograph, an act widely described by international media as an example of football diplomacy. Where politics had created hostility, football briefly created peace. In the 21st century, the relationship between sports and politics has become even more sophisticated. Instead of open confrontation, governments increasingly rely on soft power. After Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014, the country faced widespread international pressure. 4 years later, it hosted the FIFA World Cup, presenting itself as a modern, secure, and capable nation. Despite widespread criticism over labor conditions, Qatar used the successful hosting of the 2022 FIFA World Cup to reshape its global image. Saudi Arabia is now following a similar strategy through massive investments in sports, signing world-famous athletes, and preparing to host the 2034 FIFA World Cup as part of its effort to strengthen its international standing. FIFA consistently describes itself as politically neutral. Yet that neutrality has often been questioned. Following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, FIFA and UEFA suspended Russia from international football within days. By contrast, despite repeated calls from the Palestine Football Association for sanctions against Israel, FIFA has taken no comparable action. The differing responses to two major international conflicts have fueled ongoing debate over FIFA's commitment to political neutrality. Where billions of people invest their emotions and nations seek prestige, politics inevitably finds its way into sports. Sometimes it appears as propaganda. Sometimes as protest. Sometimes as diplomacy. Politicians use trophies to promote their agendas. Dictators turn stadiums into platforms for propaganda. Corporations treat sports as a commercial product.